Please remember that after implementation of GST, both credit note and debit note are issued by the supplier. The recipient or buyer will not issue either credit or debit notes. Let's say, for example, supplier S has delivered goods worth rupees 1 lakh to buyer B, where 18% is the applicable GST. Therefore, in this case, tax applicable on 1 lakh is 18,000, and this would reflect in the invoice generated. Later, the buyer decides to reject the entire consignment of good and sends it back to the seller. In order to nullify the effect of the sales already made, a credit note need to be issued by the supplier, and this would reflect in the supplier's GSTR1, which the buyer can approve after verifying GSTR2A. Moving on to debit note. A debit note is a document issued by a supplier to inform the buyer of current debt obligations. The issuance of a debit note or a supplementary invoice creates additional tax liability. The treatment of a debit note or a supplementary invoice would be identical to the treatment of a tax invoice as far as returns and payment are concerned. Let's say supplier S has delivered goods worth rupees 1 lakh to buyer B, where 18% is the applicable GST. Therefore, tax applicable on 1 lakh is 18,000, and this will reflect in the invoice generated. In this situation, the buyer B delays payment to the supplier. This delay results in the supplier charging a simple penalty and interest on it. For the additional charges levied on outstanding payment, a debit note has to be issued by the supplier in favor of the recipient. In short, debit notes will be issued in situations where the supplier has made an error while declaring the value which is less than the actual value of the goods or services delivered, or the supplier has erroneously declared a lower tax rate than what is applicable for the goods or services delivered, or the quantity received by the recipient is more than what has been declared in the tax invoice, or any other similar reasons. All credit notes and debit notes, please remember, are only issued by the supplier post implementation of GST. Thank you.